Hello and welcome. Implementing a standard can be a game changer for organisations, improving quality, boosting credibility, and opening up new opportunities. However, we understand that knowing where to start can feel like a big challenge. If you're watching this video, it's probably because you are curious about how standards might work for your organisation, or maybe because you've already purchased a standard but aren't sure what to do next. To help, we'll walk you through everything you need to know to get started on your standard implementation journey. When we talk about implementing a standard, we're referring to the process by which you align your organisation's operations, processes or products to meet the guidance or specific requirements set out in a standard document. So first, let's talk about why implementing a standard is so important. At this point, I would recommend you watch our video on the benefits of standards if you haven't already. But as an overview, standards can help ensure consistency, quality, and safety across your operations and in the delivery of your products and services. They help build trust with your customers and partners and can even be a requirement for doing business in certain industries. Moreover, standards often incorporate the latest innovations and insights, ensuring that your organisation stays competitive and up to date in its industry landscape. Ultimately, implementing standards can be a strategic move that drives excellence, fosters trust, and positions your organisation for long-term success. So let's look at how you can effectively implement and leverage standards. Before diving into implementation, it's crucial to assess your organisation's readiness. But how do you do that? Implementing a standard can require various resources such as time, money, and personnel. Conducting a readiness assessment helps identify gaps and areas that need attention before you begin. For example, after reading the requirements of the standards, you should review your existing workflows, technologies, and production processes to identify strengths and weaknesses. You should also determine the scalability of your current infrastructure to support the new implementation. By assessing your readiness, you can determine if you have sufficient resources to dedicate to this project, or if you need to allocate additional ones. You will also want to know that your team is prepared for the changes, if any, that will come with the standard. Assessing readiness helps in evaluating how prepared your team is for these changes, allowing you to develop a solid change management plan if needed to support the transition. Who is involved in the implementation process depends largely on the size and needs of your organisation. For instance, a large organisation might opt to have representatives support the project from various departments such as management, operations, quality assurance, and IT. This is because their processes are likely to be more complex and impact a wider cross-section of stakeholders than that of a smaller business. A small business with less than 15 employees might opt to have a single person dedicated to ensuring that the requirements of the standard are being met. Some organisations also choose to enrol third-party consultants to share expertise and support them through the process. What's important is that implementing a standard should always be a team effort. Even if one person is managing the entire implementation process, they will need support from their colleagues at all levels to support the changes needed to meet the requirements of the standard. So, what are the steps involved in implementing a standard? Here's a quick rundown. The first step is to plan. Define the scope and objectives. Develop a project plan that outlines the timeline, resources, and responsibilities needed. Next, communicate. Inform all stakeholders about the standard and the benefits of implementing it. Clear communication helps in gaining support. Now, consider training. Provide necessary training to your team. Everyone should understand that standard and their role in the implementation. Documentation is next. Document your processes in accordance with the standards. This might involve creating new organisational policies or production processes or modifying existing ones. Finally, it's time to start the implementation. Start applying the requirements of the standard to your organisational or production operations. Monitor progress and adjust as needed. You will then want to audit and review your implementation progress. Regularly, audit your processes to ensure compliance and identify areas for improvement. Finally, you might want to consider certification if the standard you are using is one that is verifiable. If applicable, seek certification from a third-party accredited body to verify your compliance with the standard. So now you're probably wondering, how long does it take to implement a standard? Well, there's no definitive answer. The timeframe can vary widely depending on the complexity of the standard and the size of your organisation. For example, it could take anywhere from a couple of months to a few years. Like with any project, progress will be made faster if you have more resources you can put into it. However, the key is to maintain steady progress and not rush the process, as thorough implementation is crucial for long-term success. Now, let's talk about costs. The first cost you will face is actually purchasing the standard. Typically, a standard can cost anything between £50 to £2,000, depending upon which document you are purchasing. But there are some standards that can also be downloaded for free. You can find a library of over 100,000 standards at knowledge.bsigroup.com. You'll find the link is below in the description. When it comes to implementing a standard, this process can involve various costs such as training, documentation, system and equipment upgrades, and possibly consulting fees. If you're implementing a standard that outlines the requirements for a specific product or service, there might also be the cost of managing temporary disruptions in production or services during the transition period. Again, this will all depend upon the size and complexity of your organisation and the resources you have available. You might find that you already meet the requirements of the particular standard without having to make too many new changes. In this case, the implementation process will be cheaper. While there is an upfront investment, the long-term benefits of improved efficiency, consistency, quality, reputation, and compliance often outweigh these costs. Let's talk about the common challenges that are often experienced when implementing a standard. Implementing a standard, as with making any other changes within any organisation, is not without its hurdles. They can be complex and technical documents that require time, money, and knowledge to get to grips with and adhere to. Common challenges experienced by organisations include resistance to change, lack of resources, and insufficient training. To overcome these, it helps to ensure that there is clear communication of the benefits and objectives from the outset of the project, provision of adequate training, and allocation of sufficient resources. Keep in mind that implementing a standard is a marathon, not a sprint. Rushing through the process can lead to mistakes and poor implementation. Take the time to do it right. Once a standard is implemented, it is time to measure its success. This is an essential part of the implementation process. It helps you to ensure that you're getting the return on investment you are expecting. You could use key performance indicators relevant to the standard to track progress, or conduct regular audits for areas like quality or efficiency. Feedback from stakeholders, for example, employees and customers, can also provide insights into the effectiveness of the implementation. Successful implementation is reflected in improved organisational and production processes, enhanced product quality, and increased customer satisfaction. Finally, we asked some BSI experts to share their top tips for implementing a standard. Here is what they said. Set clear goals. Understand the reason you're implementing the standard and what you expect the outcome to be. Get leadership buy-in. Ensure top management supports the implementation. Engage your team. Foster a culture of quality and continuous improvement. Communicate effectively. Keep everyone informed about the progress and benefits. Be patient. Implementation takes time, so be prepared for a gradual process. Thank you for joining me today. With the right standard implementation approach and resources, you can achieve great results and fully experience the benefits that using standards bring. If you found this video useful, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out BSI's other videos.